My name's Conagh Punch. I am bisexual and bulimic. It's all about the bees. Bisexuality means that I'm attracted to people of both sides of the gender spectrum. So in terms of binary gender, I am attracted to both men and women. I mean, the same as it would affect anybody, either straight or gay, really. It's just that instead of only being attracted to, I don't know, like, I just like both. I just like both. Common stereotypes. Okay, so big one about being bisexual is that people think, well, first of all, that bisexuals aren't real. I actually face quite a lot of stereotypes, more just questioning the existence of bisexuals within the LGBT community, as well as uneducated people, like straight people. All straight people are uneducated. No, not what I mean. Like, I come up against this stereotype inside my own community and out, in that straight people who aren't familiar with it aren't really used to the idea. They're very much used to an either-or sort of situation, and they don't view sexuality as sort of a spectrum. And gay people, I've come up against this where, for example, a gay man once told me, "Oh, I said I was bi too when I was coming out." Like, it's being viewed as like this closet stage, like half in, half out of your closet, if you were going to keep using that analogy of being in the closet. Like as if that somehow made you easier to relate to straight people or something like that. It's not. It's real. I'm not just gay or straight. I'm not hiding. I'm not in the closet about it, not on the fence. Very much existing and real. Hey, how you doing? Otherwise, other stereotypes I hit. Probably get the one where bisexuals are more likely to cheat on a long-term partner, just in terms of, I think you can't really see the logic of it. I mean, there's a sort of logic to it, maybe, like, oh, you've got more choice, so obviously you're more likely because there are more potential partners out there. Like, I mean, it's not really how it works, because if the only reason that I'm with somebody is because I don't have any other option, then, why am I with somebody? Doesn't really make any sense on that score. Another one is that we're greedy. Alright? We're greedy. I've been told to make a choice. Just pick one. You can't have both. Why not? Also, why do I have to pick one? Why do I have to choose an allegiance? I mean, we seem to have established as a society that being gay isn't a choice. It's not a lifestyle. It just happens. We're born the way we are. That's just the way it is. So why can't we get the idea through our minds that a bisexual person isn't choosing either one? It just doesn't really make any sense. Confused. Bisexuals aren't confused. It's not that we haven't figured out quite which one we are. Again, it all stems from just this idea that you can only be one or the other. It doesn't really work that way. Like, sexuality is a spectrum. Very much instead of a choice of two camps. Yeah. When I was about 14, I was at a party and I had my first gay experience, and I quite liked it. Up till then, I hadn't really thought about it very much, because I felt very much attracted to girls, and I just sort of took it for granted that meant I was straight. And I was like, okay. And I grew up in a very heteronormative sort of background. like Catholic school and going to church on Sundays and stuff like that. So I didn't really know that I had any other options. But until I had this experience, yeah, I just assumed that I was straight. Until I was kissing a boy and I was like, this feels the same. This feels good. This feels like the same as when I kissed a girl. And yeah, so I don't know, it was sort of from then on that I started on a bit of a journey of self-discovery. Definitely, actually, a bit of a journey of discovery. Like, it did take quite a while for me to work out if what I was feeling was actually true. So, I don't know, the way that I sort of puzzled about it for a long time kind of made me doubt it. Like, am I really bi? I kept asking myself if I was really bi, if I really liked boys and girls, because it just didn't seem like something that was real or represented for me to see that other people were at the time. But until like a good couple of years later, when I really sort of got to grips with it and felt like, yeah, you know what, I wouldn't be questioning it so much if I was straight. If I was straight, then I'd know. I'd know for sure. Absolutely. I wouldn't be questioning it for this long and so much. And yeah, so I gradually came to grips with it and I had more experiences, and it really sort of contributed to getting me into this certainty, I suppose. So I know that I said that bisexuals aren't cheaters, but that doesn't mean that I'm not a bit of a promiscuous person, because my stories are about girls that I've dated and stuff like that. So the first one that comes to mind is I dated a girl who was very Christian. She was part of an evangelical Christian group, like Hillsong, you know, the speaking in tongues and like the hands up in the air and feeling the Holy Spirit and all that kind of stuff. You know, which I'm not, I mean, you can tell by my tone what my opinion is of that. Anyway, so after a little while, we spent some time together, and I decided I'd tell her that I was bi, and she didn't really react very well. In fact, she told me that I was a sinner, but she forgave me. Yeah, I was sinning, and I was not what God wanted, but she forgave me for that, because that's what God would want her to do. And needless to say, that relationship didn't last for very long after that. I ran a mile. Not great. Not a great environment to be in. When the person you're involved with thinks that you're the devil, so that's cool. Another one is it was in year 11, and this girl apparently had a crush on me, and people told me about it, and it got through the school that I was bisexual, and her reaction to that was, oh well, he's only half gay, I can change him. It's not how it works, is it? It's absolutely not. Why half? Why not double? Or twice as nice? That'd be cool. But no, I'm half and half, apparently. And that was another one of those, like, why do you think this? Who hurt you? Like, yeah, something I just don't understand about the way people react. Ooh, best reactions. My best reactions have come largely from very close friends who are either they share my sexuality or they share my interests or something along those lines, and it's just been anything ranging from, oh yeah, cool, to, oh yeah, that's really great, me too. Like, I've come into a very supportive group of people, and you know, they're very much just accepting and or encouraging. So it's a good network of people that I live around. I know. In the same way as anybody innately knows, now that I've come to accept my sexuality after, you know, a long time questioning it, like, I know it as innately as anybody knows about their sexuality. Sure, you question it for a little while when you discover who you are, but you just, it's something just completely innate that I'm aware of. Bulimia is an eating disorder, like anorexia nervosa. I'm not sure what the full name for bulimia is. You could put it up on screen now if you wanted to. Connor's an idiot. It's called this. Basically, it revolves around binging and purging. So when I was actively bulimic, I would eat. It could be like just a regular meal, or it could be like quite a lot of food, or like junk food or stuff like that, and then I would purge. I would force myself to vomit all of it away, to the point where sometimes, to make sure that I vomited more, I would drink lots of liquid and let that sit until it formed a mix in my stomach, and then I could throw up more, because obviously it's harder to throw up solids than liquids. So yeah, to the point where I was very much just relying on it to, I suppose, keep control of my body image, because I have had and sort of have now quite poor body image issues. It's been quite good lately, because I suppose I practiced bulimia largely. Practiced it like it's a religion. But I did a lot of purging, largely to keep control of my body image, to feel better about myself and my weight and stuff like that. Until I needed to lose weight, because I work in theatre and I needed to appear semi-naked for a show, and I had to look good in front of lots of people, and obviously for a bulimic person that's like my worst fear. So I started exercising and eating smaller portions and eating properly, and that it gave me an insight into this, which is that it's very much a psychological thing, in that no matter what I do, my body will never look the way I think it should. Like, whether I exercise and eat properly, it won't look the way I want it to. So bulimia is very much like a crutch to lean on. Like, I can say to myself, yeah, you're doing something to control the way that you look. But I've come to accept that no matter how much weight I lose or how much muscle that I gain, like, it's still not going to make the body image issue go away. But something I sort of came, again, to accept through actually, eat. We all good?
A little bit windy, sorry.
That's okay.
Okay,
Let me know when we're all
keep
good.
it
Something that I came to accept from eating right and exercising is that there are healthier ways to regulate the way that you look, and there are healthier ways to make yourself feel good, rather than actively harming your body. So yeah, I'm at the moment quite happy with the way I look and who I am. But in times gone by, I have been very, very negative about it, to the point where I've had like breakdowns, and it's just been terrible, and I've like refused meals and then gone on just binging sprees where I'll just eat loads and loads of junk food and then throw it all up, and that'll be all that I eat in a day is what I've just poured down the toilet. So yeah. I would say that as sexualized as women are in our entertainment industry and in media, men get their fair share. Women, it hits quite hard, obviously, but men are definitely expected to be this sort of sculpted Channing Tatum kind of shape, and not everybody is. And I suppose there's a bit of a culture with men, this sort of masculinity that men can't feel disappointed with themselves or have feelings of dissatisfaction like as if men can't feel anything other than anger and happiness, or that kind of thing. It's like, I feel like that stigma that men can't have eating disorders or body image issues, it comes from a place of a very much constricting masculine sort of social construct, where we've trapped ourselves into this like man cave, back garden shed where we retreat, and there's nothing outside of that. I don't know. It's tough to describe, but yeah, I think that stigma comes from a place of toxic masculinity. We do. We do get them. So, I'd been doing this for a while. I'd been binging and purging without realizing that what I was doing was actually unhealthy, and without realizing that it actually has a name, and it's bulimia. Until I'd like voiced this to somebody like completely offhand, and they'd said, "You know that's bulimia, what you're doing," and I'm like, "No, I'm not actually I can stop whenever I want." And when I said I can stop whenever I want, I realized I sounded exactly like your classic idea of somebody with mental illness or a drug addiction or something like that. Like, I sounded exactly like the kind of person who was in denial about feeling dissatisfied with the way they look. And over the course of like a conversation with that person, I started genuinely freaking out. Like, oh my god, no, I can't actually be mentally ill. And I just found it really, really difficult to accept. But yeah, so generally over the course of one conversation, it all sort of hit me at once. And I realized what I was doing was completely unhealthy, and I should not be doing it. And that I should see somebody about it. And I sort of didn't. And I didn't see somebody about it. And I just sort of let it go on without really accepting that it was real. And it took me like quite a while to even like tell anybody else about it. And as it is, only about 3 people in my life actually know. So yeah. So that was how I found out. How I came to realize, anyway. Yeah. I again come from a quite a supportive friendship environment, I suppose. My friends have struggled with mental illness of their own, so they understand what it's like to feel dissatisfied with yourself and to look in the mirror and not like what you see. So certainly, I mean, it took me a good long time to actually confide in them, which in hindsight is idiotic, because I really should have gone to them first. But I didn't, I suppose because I was still in denial about it. But eventually I came to tell them, and they were nothing but really, really supportive about it. They understood how I felt, and they said that it really explained some things about me, like why I'm so obsessed with the way I look, and why I sometimes disappear after meals and stuff like that. So yeah, they wished that I had told them sooner, but yeah, definitely they've been really, really supportive. I tried to tell my mum that I was, and I realised now that I wasn't really ready to tell her that, because as soon as she found out, she was like, no, you're not. If you really are, then we have to take you to see somebody right now. And that just terrified me, the fact that I would have to tell more people and accept this about myself, and it just, so basically I chickened out, and I just sort of shouted her down and completely went back on everything I'd just said, and went, no, it's fine, I'll be okay, I'm just going through a phase or something. And eventually it sort of disappeared when it came out. To the point where now, I've still not really come clean. Although now I don't really feel the need to. I don't know. I feel like I should, but at the same time, it's not a conversation that you want to have with people who love you. It's not something that you want to start a conversation about either. Because it feels attention seeking, and it feels just like you have to prove it or something, and to have it doubted is for the doubt to be sown in my own mind about it, and whether I'm really just making a big deal over nothing. So I have some reservations about telling people about this kind of stuff, but I think eventually I'll sort of come clean and have that conversation with my parents, I suppose. Coming out as bisexual to my family strikes me as a sort of a mixed bag, because I don't want them to change the way that they talk. We have a lot of like family discussions about like gay marriage and stuff like that, especially lately with like the whole plebiscite business. So when I listen in on a family discussion, I get somebody's real opinion, and I feel like if I come out as part of the subject that they're talking about, then they're going to censor themselves, and they're not going to speak honestly, and they're going to talk behind my back and hide their real opinion, and it's not really something that I want to have to happen, and it's not a conversation that I really want to be changed purely because of me. And again, I don't want them to lie to me either. But it's a mixed bag, obviously, because if I do come out, then I have a serious chance of changing their minds, because some of my family do have quite conservative ideas, but at the same time they're also quite progressive, so it's a bit of a mixed bag there. In terms of being bulimic, I'm just like at the moment I'm quite healthy. I haven't purged in a long time, so I suppose I feel at this point like I've beaten it. I'm terrified of going back to a place where the only way I can control anything about the way that I feel about myself is by purging. It's not a place I really want to go back to. The plebiscite! Oh, great. Let's spend a fuck of a lot of money. Sorry, I'll start again. Oh, I can. Oh, excellent. Good. Let's spend a fuck of a lot of money on a glorified survey asking people who don't have a right to comment on other people's rights. It's just a great idea all round. It's so good. So, on one level, right, on one level with this, I'm totally against it. First of all, it's non-binding, and there have been members of Parliament who said that no matter what the answer is, they'll vote no anyway, if it comes to a vote in Parliament. On another level, it validates so many people's opinions when only a really select few are actually needed. It's like, so I've had my doubts about using this analogy, but I've been told I can, so it's fine. It's like when there was a vote to decide if women could vote. It's exactly the same. Surely the only people's opinions who actually matter in that scenario are women's, because women are going to want to vote. Yeah? It's the same deal with the gay marriage plebiscite. Surely the only person who it affects is a gay person. And all of this stuff like, oh, it's going to change straight people's... it's not going to have any effect other than its intended purpose. Gay people are going to be allowed to get married. It's going to have ripple effects, sure, but none of those will be negative. They're all going to end up a little bit more positive for everyone. So here's an example that I've heard somebody use. Well, look, in a divorce now, men and women fight over custody for children sometimes. And usually what the court will do, overwhelmingly, is they'll give the children to the mother, no matter what kind of person that mother is, if she's earning more money, and they'll just get the man to pay child support. that's just the way this works. It's just a fact of the world now that overwhelmingly in these cases, the children go to the mother. So what do you do when there are two mums? Oh, I don't know. Maybe this time you're going to have to make a decision taking into account all of the factors like wealth and mental health and just everything that would actually make sense instead of making a stereotypical decision that involves prejudice. Like, it's overwhelmingly going to be positive for everyone. And the No campaign infuriates me because it's all of these privileged people who have no idea what it's like to be missing rights, to actually have their rights taken away from them. So I've talked pretty much at length to this about almost everybody I know, the fact that if you're, for example, already in a married relationship with somebody, and you decide that you're going to transition... Well, if you transition to the... What's up? No, we're all good? Listen, if you're in a married relationship with somebody, and you are a transgender person, and you transition to the same gender as that person, you're not allowed to be married and also be recognized as transgender. So the way that it works is that, yeah, you can transition in your personal life, but you can't change your name. You can't be recognized by your own government as your new name and new identity unless you divorce your partner. So the government will actually take away your right if you express who you are. And frankly, that's just fucked. It just is. It's overwhelmingly a question of... I'm gonna start a different point right there. Basically, I think the No campaign it stems from a place of the privileged people who are so frightened that something about them doesn't matter, that they're just stretching and reaching for a way to affect other people's lives. They're just... When they're told your opinion doesn't matter in this debate, they get so angry. Like, oh, I want to be involved. I want to talk about... No, you can't get married. It's sacred. It can't evolve. Even though it's evolved for hundreds and thousands of years. Even though it started as a business transaction between families where a man would buy a wife from her father and pay a fuck of a lot of money and resources and a petrol generator and sheep and shit like that. Like... Even though marriage started essentially as a business transaction, or where you would gain more status from it, and it evolved into a question of love, and then again evolved again and became a question of, okay, now your affairs are tied together, your finances, your after death rights, stuff like that. Like marriage evolves. It does. Hell, in fucking... Years ago, you weren't allowed to marry somebody of a different race than you in this country. And now you are. So marriage evolves. It does. We've seen it. And it will continue to evolve. And I know that, logically, we will end up with the right to marry. We will. Whoever we want. But the fact that it's being thrown into the public sphere and given a voice to bigotry just infuriates me. It's just completely unacceptable and disgusting, and the fact that the government wasn't going to bring children into this debate. They weren't gonna throw the kids out there as like a sacrificial lamb. Look, gay marriage is ruining children. You need masculine and feminine... like... I'm just talking nonsense now, but... yeah. It's just utterly disgusting. It's despicable. I'm talking about that. I'm going to talk about that ad, yeah. You know, the one with those three women who for the Say No campaign. Oh, I've got another point after this, actually. It's great. So for those three women who spoke for the Say No campaign, my son was told next year that if he wanted to, he could wear a dress to school And then the next clip is some woman going, if gay marriage is legalized, programs like this will become compulsory. And that's about as close as an ad campaign can come to correlating these things. Obviously, they didn't say, oh, boys will be forced to wear dresses, but it's like, it's about as close as they can come to being able to politically correctly say boys will be forced to wear dresses. It's like they were going to any lengths at all. They were just grasping at straws and appealing, obviously, to the lowest common denominator of people who just want to hold on to these toxic gender roles until they die. And it's just absolutely despicable, and it has nothing to do with gay marriage in any case. It's just ridiculous. Next point, right? What was I going to say? It was going to be about the no campaign. Okay, so the slogan, it's okay to say no. It's okay to say no. It's like, who are you appealing to? Are you appealing to reluctant yes-sayers? Like, okay. So, I can't help but think that this, like, weird alt-right demographic of people who want it to be okay to say no, I can't help but think that they're, like, frightened that people will find out that they're fucking bigots. Like, if you think that gay people shouldn't be allowed to get married for any reason, I'm sorry, but that makes you a bigot. Whatever reason you have for it, you're a bigot. Okay? And it's not okay to say no. You can't find a little justification clause in there, like freedom of speech, because sure, you have the right to say no, but you don't have the right not to be called out on that. We don't live in a world where freedom of speech means immunity from any and all repercussions for what you say. Sure, I can go out onto the street and say black people are substandard citizens. I'm allowed to say that. But that doesn't mean that if I did, people wouldn't come and beat the shit out of me, because it's a shitty thing to say. And it's something, obviously, that I don't hold as a belief. But, like, just because it's freedom of speech does not mean that none of the backlash can hit you. It doesn't protect you. You're not in a bubble of, well, look, the law says I can say it, so you can't do anything about it. No, that's not how that works, okay? People are going to be held accountable for what they say. So it's not okay to say no, and you shouldn't be looking for justification to say no. You can't look for justification for your bigotry and for your prejudice. Like, it's like shopping around for, oh, I really want to think of myself as a good person, but some of my beliefs are actually quite shitty. Like, just get fucked, alright? If you're going to be a bigot, take a good hard look at why. If it's religious, if it's because you're part of an older generation and you haven't been exposed to that kind of thing. And if all the rhetoric in the world, if Penny Wong passionately just entreating that you reconsider doesn't work, then look, you may have tried your best. If you actually try and see the other side, then well done. And if you can't do it, then at least you tried. But you're still a bigot. I've heard of a case where a man spoke out on social media, basically in a homophobic way, saying that he was going to vote no. And yeah, that is homophobic. I'm just calling it right now. I'm not going to be polite to him. So basically, he voiced that he was going to vote no, and his reasons, and he was fired from his job. And I do not feel a single iota of sympathy for him. I just don't care. And I think that he absolutely deserves it. So, and I hold that for any and all people who want an excuse to say no. You deserve whatever shit's going to hit you for your shitty beliefs. So, for somebody questioning their sexuality, the important thing is always to be safe, to explore in a safe environment where you are protected, whether by, using condoms or contraception, or just being with people who are supportive and who aren't going to hurt you or I suppose, read the cues for your environment and take into account the kind of people that you spend time with. And if there are people who aren't very accepting, then, maybe consider spending time with people who are. And certainly just be safe and don't feel like you can't explore. Don't feel like you have to be ashamed of who you are. And don't feel like you have to be ashamed of exploring. Because life is learning, and we keep learning forever. We never stop. So, yeah, don't be frightened to explore and spend time with people who will support you. In terms of people with eating disorders, I gotta say, look, I can't tell you to stop because it won't make any difference. But what I can tell you, life feels better. It feels better to do this the right way. As somebody who's exercised and eating healthy. I mean, I did have McDonald's for lunch today, but overwhelmingly, I eat right and I exercise to keep myself healthy, and it feels better to do that the right way rather than the easy way. So, while it may be hard to cross that hurdle, or you may feel like you'll be laughed at or anything like that for even coming forward with this kind of thing, just know that you don't have to be doing it. You might feel like you do to exercise control over the way that you view yourself, but doing this the right way feels better. Now, obviously, some people can't do it the right way, and some people are obviously going to be in different situations. But I can only offer my experience, and that is that while I was purging, I felt just overwhelmingly bad about it. I was ashamed of who I was and the way I looked. And now obviously I still sometimes look in the mirror and go, alright, maybe we don't eat today. But then I think about how far I've come from where I was, and I feel better about it. So, things do get better, however cliche that might be. And exercising control over your own lifestyle definitely helps, as long as you're doing it. You got an opinion, do ya? Good. Exercising control over the way that you live, if you do it in a healthy way that doesn't hurt anybody and it doesn't hurt yourself, then you will feel better given time. And also dress well, because if there's nothing you can change about your body, you can change the way you dress. And that's why I'm so fashionable. No, I'm just being a shit. But yeah, everything I already said.